The fastest answer in jazz improvisation to what is a sus chord is simply that it uses the fourth scale degree instead of the third scale degree in the chord. The confusion comes when you try to figure out, is this a minor chord? Is this a dominant chord? What is the chord quality if there is no third? I was looking around online for different answers to this question, and I came across a podcast of two piano players, Peter Martin and Adam Manis, and they had a really great conversation about this. I'm just going to play it really quick here. Have a listen to what they say about whether a sus chord is minor or dominant, and see if this helps clear up what this chord actually is.
Like the sound is, I love this sound.
But that's a minor 11.
That's a minor 11. But you know
Yeah.
what? If you call it a minor sus, who cares?
I
mean,
care. I guess to me, the sus 4 means that the 4 is in there. Like the third can also be in there.
Yeah.
So if it's a D7 sus 4,
Right.
that's a D7 with enough sharp can be in there for sure. But the emphasis on the fourth in the chord as a big part of it. I picture the composer wanting a little bit of ambiguity.
Yeah.
That sort of not major sound
Yeah.
really, but it is, part of that family.
Yeah.
So when I see minor sus 4, I just think like, well, you just could have, is the 7th in there? Then yes.
Yeah.
Is the 9th in there? Then yes. Why didn't you just write a D minor 11?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I think, yeah. And wouldn't you say that it's that tension between the third and the fourth?
Yeah, it's that half step tension.
Yeah,
That's the
whereas
important bit.
That doesn't have.
This means when we're thinking of sus chords, we're really just thinking of a different way to voice a dominant chord. There's not really such a thing as a minor sus chord. Two ways I like to think of a sus chord is that pretending that this is a dominant chord of a 2-5 situation, you're actually just thinking of playing the 2 chord over the top of that 5 dominant chord. Another way to think of a sus chord is if we look at the first chord of the tune Maiden Voyage, we have D7 sus. You can play C major 7 over the top of that chord or arpeggiate a C major 7 chord, and you'll get all of those great chord tones without playing the third, and this is the primary sound of a sus chord. Some great approaches to playing over sus chords. You can start arpeggiations off of each of those suspended notes. So if we're looking at a concert D7 or E7 on tenor saxophone, you would play arpeggiations off of the 9th, off of the 11th, and off of the 13th. Doing this and improvising with these notes is a really great way to bring out that suspended sound. Another thing you can play over this, pentatonics. So using the minor 7th pentatonic of the 2 chord over that dominant 7th sus 5 chord is another great way to really highlight and just nail this sound. Because we now know that a sus chord is really just a dominant chord with a voicing that highlights the 4th instead of the 3rd, we can use the dominant pentatonic scale over an E7 sus sound. Following that same line of thinking, you can also play bebop lines over the top of a sus chord. If we listen to the original recording of Maiden Voyage, a lot of bebop language is used in George Coleman's solo and Freddie Hubbard's solo over these dominant 7 sus chords. Another great way to bring out the sus sound is to play triad pairs over a sus chord, the same 2 triad pairs that you would play over a dominant 7th chord. You get a totally different sound and start to build different lines than the previous mentioned techniques. Now what I'm going to do is demonstrate these different techniques in the landscape of solo over the Maiden Voyage chord progression so you can hear how this is all pieced together. If this is something that is interesting to you, I really strongly suggest you check out the SK Improv Studio. Basically every month I present a ton of information and material of how I like to think about the different challenges that are presented in the tune that we are working on that month. If you're new to this channel, thanks so much for checking out this video. Please give me a like and subscribe down below. Drop a comment if there's anything you want to hear me talk about in the future, and if there's anything that stood out to you in this video. Keep shedding, and we'll see you in the next one.
it.